Okay. Like, remember when rappers had anthems? Yeah, I remember. I want to create or recreate that move. Okay. Something like, kick that shit. Power to my people, cause my people got power, power. To my people, cause my people got power, right? Power. To my people, cause my people got power. My people. Got power, the whole world is ours. Power. To my people got power, power. To my people. My people got power, power. To my people, my people. Got power, my people got power. The whole world is ours. No call. Boricuas, morenos, nativos. Lo Chicano, Mexicano, or the Latinos. You know I do it for my black and brown hermanos. So let's shout it all the way to the Sao Paulo. Power to my people, my people. Have power. Every other day we taking a hater shower. From the racist to hypocrites, the punk is cowards. We don't die, we more. Multiply by the hour. Go ahead, do it again. Pump your fist, pump your fist. It's time to show these what it is, what it is. So tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend. Come in. This straight to number, so let's handle biz. The revolution will be televised, eyes wide, no TV gas, first person narrative. The cameraman just right. Right outside, soldiers, all information marching in a perfect line. My people so extraordinary, so resilient, divided in every sense, so brilliant. I ain't down with that fuck shit. You ain't down with that fuck shit. This make me wanna buck shit. Salute to the youth of now. Juries are fighting for that justice. No way you can touch this. No way you can hush this. Governments all corrupted. It's the R to the A to the P, S the A to the all times 2. Fighting for you, and you. Power to my people, my people got power. Power to my people got power. Power to my people. My people got power. My people got power. The whole world is ours. All for one, or just one for all. One. Together we stand, divided we fall. You ain't down with the cause, then go get your how you going? I'm Huey P. Newton with a Pittsburgh fitted on. Afro-Boricua, I'm way strong. I'm Shasha Yemenis with a bulletproof vest on. This is for my hit day, the show, our better day. Strive for greatness, let nothing get in your way. Wanna buy some land, wanna buy an estate. This financial growth, homie, it starts today. We the blacks, we the reds, we the browns, say it we loud. Power to my people got power. Power to my people got power. Power to my people got power. My people got power. The whole world is ours. Power to my people, 'cause my people got power. Power to my people, 'cause my people got power. Power to my people, 'cause my people got power. My people got power. The whole world is ours.
Okay. What is up? Sorry about the glitching and lagging. I had to make sure that. What's up, everybody? It's your girl LeeLee. Thank you for joining us today for Flawless Dreams Radio. I'm sorry about the glitching. I had to make sure that whoever had something running in the house, I'm like, listen, turn it off. Turn it off now. You're gonna mess me up here. And so I know that was probably painful for some people to be like, okay, what's up? What's happening? This is RapStarr. I understand. Well, I'm hoping that I can see if I can get some clearance to upload that video on Flawless Dreams Radio. I'm sorry, Flawless Dreams channel, and then it'll be shared so that everybody can see it play more smoothly. But in any way, without further ado, I want to welcome RapStarr a.k.a. Hurricane Cam. How you doing, sir? What is up, Boricua?
Aha, what's poppin', LeeLee? What's up, Liz? What's good with everybody? Shout out to Florida, East Coast. We in the building. Boricua hip hop is here. What's poppin'?
Hey. So, with your permission, you think that from what you saw that I'd be able to upload that video so it can play nice and smooth, so everybody who didn't get a chance to see it play smoothly can see it play more smoothly on the channel?
Absolutely, the more the merrier. I was digging it, even though it was lagging. I was digging it. It was a nice tribute. I appreciate you so much for that. That was ill, man. That was ill.
That's what's up.
Like
Liz,
the
what you
different
think
images.
of the track?
I like the different images. That was dope. That was dope for real.
Thank you.
I loved the music. That was really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It kind of reminded me of DMX. I was like, you got some DMX vocals up in there.
Hey, yo, I swear everybody say that.
Listen,
Everybody.
I know it's you, but like it's like you have that gift, that natural, and it's natural. I could tell you're not doing it on purpose. It's kind of like what some people say to me. They'll be like, listen, I hear a little bit of Nicki Minaj in there. Listen, we're both Sagittarius. You're gonna hear a little bit of that. That's inevitable. But in this case, DMX is Sagittarius. You're Aquarius, right?
Right.
I always ask everybody what their zodiac sign is. It's my thing on the show. So, Liz, what's your zodiac sign? Go ahead, share.
I'm a Capricorn. We end the year and start the year.
You're dang Skippy. So how long you been doing music?
I've been doing music since I was 9. I'm 31 now. So I've been at it for like a long time, and during that time period, like the duration of it, all I just kept doing was just perfecting my craft. You know, I started writing rhymes on my own. I taught myself how to write rhymes, taught myself how to write in a song structure, taught myself about, like, you know, the 16 bar choruses, the chorus, or the chorus that has 4 bars, the verses at 16, sometimes 18 depending on the beat, the bridge, the breakdown point. I just learned all of that when I was like around 11 or 12, and that's just strength off of my influences. You know, 50 Cent, Eminem, G-Unit. DMX is one of my influences. Actually, I met DMX 2 years ago. Shout out to my man True Live. He's another dope Pittsburgh artist. He's connected with Murder Inc. and Ja Rule and them. And I remember one day I'm at work and it's late at night. This is when I was like on my 1 to 10 shift, and my man's hit me up and he was like, yo, I need you to slide through real quick. And I said, what's up? He said, DMX is in the building. I was like, X? He was like, yeah. I was like, word. So the neighborhood where DMX was is actually a neighborhood that I grew up in. And there's like 2 clubs literally like a block away from the Catholic school that I went to, and that's where he was at. So I go down there. At first I go home. I directly go home, get dressed, come all the way back to the city. And I'm waiting outside the club for my man because they was club hopping. They was going to different clubs, and X was going to different clubs performing and signing and doing everything. So the club that I was in, I'm standing out there, and there's about like 30 Rough Rider guys with the motorcycles going up and down the street, popping willies and everything. I'm like, yo, that is so dope. And like I said, just a block away is the Catholic school that I went to. So being like, this is my own surroundings and seeing all of this happen. And I'm like, yo, I look to the left, there's a black Suburban. 4 guys hop out with the Rough Rider leather jackets, and X comes falling on right behind them. I'm in awe. I'm in shock. I'm starstruck. I mean, I know I'm a rap star, but I get starstruck from time to time, So X is coming in, and there's like a motorcycle between him and I. And it's a blue and white. I was wearing blue and white, like I'm wearing blue and white right now. And I go and I extended my hand. I say, yo, X, big fan. He goes, he splouts me up, and he's like, hey, yo, that's your bike? And I'm like, nah, that is not my bike, X. He's like, I'm just saying because the bike's blue and white, you ain't blue and white. I just thought that was your bike, yo. And that's the way how he talked, and the vibe was so crazy when he said it. So I was like, yo, this is really X right here, yo. I'm like, cool. And he's one of my influences. So, I go inside the club, and we in VIP section. Literally, I'm standing up. He's sitting right behind me. There's women who's like on the other side of the gate asking me if they can come through to be next to X. I'm like, I don't even got that, authority to do that. I'm just happy to be here. I turn around and I'm like, yo, X, is it possible if I can, get a picture with you? And he's like, you the man from outside, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, yeah, we can do that. Took a picture and everything, yo. It's one of the greatest memories that I have, RIP to DMX. He's truly missed. He will be missed. He's going to be missed for a long time. Him out the game is crazy. He did so much for the industry and artists like me and artists for like, my man True Live, who connected with me with him. Artists like him look at him and say, yo, these guys raised me. And being that True Live is spiritual and X is spiritual, they instantly had a connection. When he met X, it was like meeting a family member to him, So a lot of people don't understand these artists. Sometimes they raise the next generation. Now, me, I have a father. I'm not fatherless. I have a father. My father actually lived like across the, hill or across the bridge for me. But artists like X, artists like M, artists like 50, artists like Little Kim, she's another one of my top influences. Artists like LL Cool J, they didn't raise me, but they kind of like my big brother, big sisters helped me get into the game. Like, this is how you do it, person, or this is how you handle this situation. This is how you handle that situation. Oh, aside from the advice that my father have given me, so a lot of these artists like myself has been, we gave like Tupac said in the documentary, the Beef documentary, we gauge our nuts by, the artists that we listen to. So if I'm having a bad day or something like that, I'm going through something like, I could turn on LL Cool J and LL be like, well, this is how you do it. Or you turn on to an Ice Cube and this is how you do it. When I'm feeling down or something like that, one of my favorite songs I play is Tupac, Me Against the World. Every time I hear that, it resonates within me. The spirit within that song resonates within me. So, I start to feel better about the situation that I'm in. And that's the kind of things that I want to do in my songs as well. That's why I came out with Power to My People, because I feel like this is my first introduction to the game officially. I've been in the game for a while, but underground. So this song right here is my first. This is my baby, and I want to make an impact, for the Black and brown people of Turtle Island. This is what I want to do. I want to build education up. I want to build self-esteem up. I want to build knowledge up. I want to build everything that can positively make a community healthy. And this is the thing that I'm doing. I'm kicking game to these people. What I want to do is the same knowledge that you acquire when you go to college. You get 2 years for an associate's, 4 years for a bachelor. And if you feel like you want to go on beyond further with graduate school, I want to feel like listening to my music, you're going to get the same information if you was going to go that route anyway. And that's where I'm at right now.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So you're encouraging people to stay educated. Because first of all, how is an artist, and it doesn't matter what type of artist you are, how is an artist supposed to touch on certain subjects in an educated way if you have no education?
Well, everything, like I said, the education itself, like the piece of paper, that's just a piece of paper. Those are credentials. You need that to maneuver through, the corporate ladder in the world and everything like that. But the knowledge that you can get, music is just crazy like that. When we were kids, the first thing that we listened to is the alphabet song. We learn how to read, write, and learn the letters of the language just by a simple song. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We are taught life lessons through songs. This has been going on for a while. So hip hop is no different. You know what I'm saying? Being
there's
that
life lessons, and then there's book art, which you want to encourage them, because that's what you were just saying. You say you still want you want to encourage people to get that book education regardless, and it's never too late. There's a library, there's the internet, there's Google. Some people even call Google their girlfriend. So, whatever.
It's also the right education, because there's certain times, like, okay, for example, anybody who ever been to college knows when you're doing a term paper or when you're doing some type of research, that you cannot use certain sites because they're not creditable, like Wikipedia. You can automatically go to wikipedia.com and search on anything, and at the top right corner they have like a little pencil button, and you hit that pencil button, you can change literally the literature that's on that site. People got to check the sources. Sometimes you can go to Google, and sometimes Google, what will happen is whoever is putting the information in, that's their history, or their point of view. It doesn't mean that's the point of view of the whole spectrum. So a lot of people, it's like somebody told me, they say, if you're researching a subject, what you do is you try to find the opposite of what you're doing. So if you're proving something yes, go and try to prove something no, because if you try to go the opposite of what you're doing, of course, everything that you're researching about what you're doing, you're going to find, everything that you need. But to actually go a step further, go in the opposite direction to try to discredit yourself so you can get better, results on what you are researching. Because you might find, different other avenues and different other knowledge that you probably wouldn't have thought of in that point of view. So right. Education, both sides, as far as like, book smarts, street smarts. Not a lot of people have common sense. Everybody's common sense isn't common. And then you also got to also understand the mentality of different people is also altered as well. So me and this person could have like a different point of view because our backgrounds are different, our situations are different, our finances might be different. So people have different point of views just based off of the environment they are from and just how they're upbringing. So as far as education, everybody has to study and study. I mean, you learn.
And as long as you're alive, keep studying. It never ends.
Keep studying.
Never stop learning. We never stop learning. And and we never stop improving how we speak. We never like. I mean, it's just like an artist never stops improving how they switch up their flow. They'll approach the next track a different way. They say, "Listen, I gotta come harder." That's learning too. If you
Yep.
feel like you gotta come harder than your last track, what's wrong with saying, "Listen, it's not so much I'm retracting what my last statements that I learned, and I've improved the knowledge in what I was talking about prior." There's nothing
Right.
wrong with that. We do it all the time as artists. People do it in general. Doctors
Hmm.
do it. They say, okay, this method didn't work. It didn't help this patient. Maybe I could try it this way to help somebody.
Right.
So, but people have something called pride and ego that get in the way, and so all that is just a bunch of blockages that hinder you from actually gaining new knowledge, new information, and higher ascendance. What you
You're
think,
right.
Liz?
You definitely right. With pride and everything like that, people they put too much energy on what they need to be prideful of. You know, like a person could be prideful of not admitting that the things that they're studying could be wrong. So they're prideful of not accepting the fact that everything that they've been taught all this time is wrong or could be wrong or is a possibility to be wrong. Instead of being prideful in the subject that you're trying to defend, won't you just be prideful of the fact that you are a person who love to learn? You know, they put all their energy into different things. You know, it's just crazy how a lot of people, they let their pride or let certain things block their potential rather than putting their pride in their potential that will even make them go further. You know,
Right.
so me and you, we know, we watch anime and everything like that. The number one person, who's all about pride is my man's Vegeta, the Saiyan Prince. You know, he's all about that pride. But at
That's
the
my
end of
husband. We were engaged when I was 12, but we got married when I was legal age. The moment I hit 18, he put the ring on it real quick. I was like, "Ee."
the but
Oh,
you
I
know,
met the actor. I met the actor who does his voice, and I told him, and he says, "Are you Bulma?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm Ryoko, and you're actually married to the space pirate." Because if you know
mm,
Tenchi Muyu, I always thought that Ryoko and Vegeta made a good couple because I mean Ryoko got blue hair too, just like Bulma, but I just
yeah.
thought that they were a couple because a lot of the people they cosplayed as Bulma, and I was like, I want to be different. I'm gonna cosplay as Ryoko, and there goes my husband, and he liked it. He liked it. He met my daughter, and I was like, "Let me introduce you to your daughter." He's like, "Oh," and he had a great time with us at the Comic-Con. I was like, "Yeah, that was
Then
when
that then that
Prince was alive."
that means I must be your offspring because my favorite character is Future Trunks. That's my favorite character.
Oh, you
I
my
got
son.
I I got his Capsule Corp jacket, the half jacket. I got that real
Hmm.
genuine leather. Got the Capsule Corp and everything like
I
that.
saw
And
it. I think I've
huh?
seen it. Do you have a
Yeah.
picture wearing it? Yeah,
Yep.
you do. Yeah, you do. I pay attention to your stuff. I show support to my fellow artists. I pay attention. I'm not blind. Trust me, I got your back. I got your back. Ha 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 ha
Word.
ha.
Word. And then the step beyond that, my wife, she actually bought me Trunks' sword. And
I
it's
saw
it's
that.
an
Did you take a
it's
picture
an
of that too?
I don't think I got pictures of it. I don't think that I posted it up enough.
No, I seen it somewhere. I swear to goodness. I swear to goodness I've seen it. I
You
swear
might
to
you
goodness.
might have I know I had my old Facebook. I had a lot of pictures on my old Facebook. It got hacked. And then the other Facebook that I had even before that, it got locked up. It's still locked up. I can't even get through it. But I
Oh
did
damn,
have
that's the haters.
pictures.
That's the
Yeah.
haters.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Facebook. It's the Facebook community. Shout out to the haters Facebook community, always fucking up shit. Um,
Dang Skippy.
but I had pictures of the sword. It came with his sheath and the strap that came with it. I always like a big Trunks fan. I always like Future Trunks. I think his story is inspiring. The fact that I think he's like one of the most complete fighters in Dragon Ball Z, being that he was trained by Gohan, being that Gohan is the father of, the Gohan's the son of Goku. So you got the fact that he has the Turtle Hermits teaching way of fighting. He also have Piccolo's way of fighting. He used the Maseko Ha, which Gohan was trained by Piccolo. That was his very first teacher. He also have his own style, and he also has Vegeta style. You know, more so after the Android and Cell saga, because he actually was around Vegeta when he traveled to the present. But I feel like Trunks is like one of the most complete fighters because he have different styles of all of the greats within that, you know, show. So that's why I like Trunks so much. Trunks is he's that dude. He's that dude, and he's very well mannered as well. Very well mannered.
Now, Liz, I know you don't watch Japanese anime like that. I know you know, right? So why don't you tell a little bit about the kind of stuff you do like, and maybe RapStarr, you can touch, like, you know, see how you connect. And
Okay.
you know, who knows? We might get lucky. Maybe he'll freestyle something for us. We might get lucky. It just depends on how an artist is feeling, because I think of artists sometimes in the equivalent, sometimes not all the time, but in equivalency as empaths, because sometimes you have to go with the spirit.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
If you're not feeling that spirit, it's just like, listen, it's just like being drained. And I don't like it when people say, "Oh, you always got to be ready." I'm like, let me tell you something. Are you always ready to have chaka with your woman? Don't say yes, because sometimes I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you, because I know wifey's listening. I'm talking about in general, men. Listen, us females are not always ready to throw down. Sometimes we need a break. You know, it's like, man, let it breathe a little bit, coño.
Dios mío.
But anyways, yes, Liz, what kind of stuff do you like to watch that maybe, like, you know, as a rap artist, he can relate to? Go ahead, throw down.
I like vampire stuff. I like Michael Flatley, Lord of the Dance, stuff like that. I'm so into that. I don't want someone to like say the words and tell me a story. I'd rather watch it and figure it out myself. That's the type of stuff I'm into. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's two. I'm not into the whole vampire thing. There's actually two things that I actually like as far as vampires. Well, three actually. There is True Blood. I was a big True Blood fan.
I have all seasons.
Yeah.
There you go.
When I was in college, so when I would come home, you know, because when it first aired, it was on HBO and it premiered like in the summertime. So that was like a way that me and my father, we would bond with each other, because my father, he's a big science fiction freak. You know, he loves science fiction stuff. You know, so you know, I would come home and you know, I'd be home for the summertime, and me and him every Sunday we would watch True Blood, and we watched it so much it became, you know, one of my favorites. He also got me into the whole Blade thing. You know, I love Blade. You know, the Wesley Snipes joint. You know, Blade. You know, the second Blade trilogy where they had my man Triple X in it. That was crazy, man. You know, that was my joint. And then there's also an anime. There's an old anime. It came out in the 80s. I think they only made 2 movies of it, but it was called Vampire D.
That's sorry, I have to yell. I'm gonna give you a scream. Everybody, deal with it. Okay, you on my show, and I will scream if I want to. All right, so let me tell you something. Yes, Vampire Hunter D. There are so many different versions of Vampire Hunter D, but my favorite is the one, and I don't know if you, I'm pretty sure you've seen this one, RapStarr, but it's the one where, hold on. It's Vampire Hunter D, and it's where the girl, she loses her horse in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I remember.
That was the first one that I saw. And I was little, and I was crying to my older sibling. I'm like, why did the horse have to die?
I think she was in that enchanted forest because she was trying to track down one of the vampires, and she was in his territory. and some freaky shit was just happening. Like, yeah, my favorite is Bloodlust. I like Bloodlust. That was when there was like this young woman. She got kidnapped by one of the vampires, but they ended up falling in love with each other. And Vampire D, if anybody who knows Vampire D, Vampire D is actually biracial. He's half human, half vampire.
Yep.
The Dawn Peel, and his job is to save.
Biracial. Dude, it's not called biracial in anime. It's called it's a different type. There's a different word. It's like, it's not a hybrid, but kind of like a hybrid a little bit, but it's like a step up as a hybrid. It's like a step.
You ever see, I know you've seen Inuyasha, right?
Of course.
Okay, so one of the episodes where Inuyasha actually traveled back in time to Kagome's time, and he was meeting her friends, and they were all in awe because he looked so much different. I mean, he had straight white hair. They was like, isn't he biracial? And Kagome was like, you could say that, you know, because he's half human, half demon. But you know,
But you saw it in Japanese, or you saw it in the English version?
I saw it in the English because I can't speak. I can't speak Japanese. I can't really speak Japanese. Even there's people that I work with. I remember there's this guy at my job. I work for the Home Depot, and he's Asian. He got tattoos of like a dragon on his back. He got tattoos of a samurai on his shoulder. And me and him, you know, we're talking. And he says that, you know, I wore a Chinese shirt one day, and it's like the actual traditional button up, the little thing is blue and everything. And me and him, I was telling him how ever since I was little, I was introduced to the Asian culture. And I love the Asian culture so much, you know, being that I watch, you know, I'm a history buff. So I watch, you know, films like the old school Jet Li. You know, none of the.
It's in your background too. I mean, you are Puerto Rican. We have it in our background.
Of course, and of course, you know, early hip hop, you know, paid homage to the Asian, you know, community. You know, if you look at The Last Dragon with, you know, Bruce Leroy, and then growing up, you have around the time that I grew up, you know, you was watching kung fu movies and everything like that. So all of this stuff is part of our culture. You know, I got katana swords upstairs. You know, I got bedspreads, you know, that has the Chinese symbols on it. I got, let me show you. Here we go.
Oh,
medicine ball. You know, I got those, you know, for your hands and everything like that. So they're all around. You know,
you got blue balls there, man.
What'd you say?
I said you got some blue balls there.
When you raised around a whole bunch of Crips, it's good to have blue balls. You know, being around a whole bunch of Crips, but it's crazy though, because like I was telling him, I said, I watch anime. I can't do the Japanese thing. I don't speak Japanese. I'm not going to try to even figure out what they're saying with the subtitles, because the subtitles is different than the actual language that they're saying. And he said the same thing. He said a lot of people like to say, oh, they can understand Japanese or Chinese by watching anime or reading the subtitles of kung fu movies. He said sometimes those languages really don't actually translate into the actual language. He said for you to actually understand,
it's slang. It's kind of like when you watch a novela, it's like there's a difference between like the slang and how you would speak it if it was you're going to a job interview. So
right.
I mean, I've worked with Kokaiden. He's a wonderful actor and opera singer. And he acted in my film Eternal Empress, which was Japanese with English subtitles. And I was one of the leads. And then he was the vocal coach for some of the people who couldn't really speak Japanese.
Right.
So I said, I need somebody who can help me, because I can't be, you know, helping everybody. I can just direct them, but I need your help to make sure they're getting the proper pronunciation, because there's the proper pronunciation for the men and then there's the proper pronunciation for the females. So he And then also depending on what you're saying and how you want to say it, you have to, the wording will be so different. So
Yep.
you can't, I mean, the films will help you, because even I told him that I watched, because he asked me, there was a word that I specifically said that he loved the way I said it. Let's see, I was like saying, oh yeah, when I said nani mo naiwa ne, he loved it. He flipped out. He was, that's, and this guy is so much older than me. He's like, if he ever watches this, I don't want to insult him, but he is much older than me. He's like 20 years my senior, and he's a professor also at a college, and he's very strict. Like, he's very strict. If you say his language wrong, he's coming for you. And
Right.
so when he literally loved it, and I didn't know what I said that was so great. I just said, you know, I just said nani mo naiwa ne, because you know how like in Japanese when they say nani mo naiwa ne, and so I said nani mo naiwa ne, and he goes, that's great. And he says, he asked me how did I learn how to pronunciate, and I said, well, Hispanic, and so of course I can grasp other languages pronunciations pretty well, I think, anyway. So, and he said that, and he even said that, he says, well, what language do you speak? And I said, well, I speak English, Spanish, and French, and a few other languages. And he says, okay, well, that makes sense. And so he just loved the way I said that. That was his favorite word that I said, even though everything else he loved it, but he just loved when I said that word. And I'm like, I didn't know if he was having an orgasm or what. I'm like, dude, it's just one word and it's causing you to do that. Sheesh.
See, I think it's very instrumental for people to actually learn more than one like language, because it shows that you're more well-rounded, you know, and the fact that you can, for you to know like more than one language, you know, your mind is operating on so many different other things. So if you can grasp another language,
yeah, I
see
know
what I'm talking about. So it's like that's just what it is. I mean, even when I tell people, when people look at me and they say, well, how I would love to learn, you know, Spanish. I'm like, Spanish is really not hard. Actually, English is harder than Spanish, but it doesn't seem like that because we already speak English. But I was like, but if you was to start from scratch, English is a very complicated language to learn because it doesn't follow sometimes the rules, and it's a hybrid of many different other languages as well, and it doesn't follow their rules as well. So I tell people, I said, what you got to do is you got to submerge yourself into the culture. You
And
know,
yeah, there's slang in every culture. There's slang in every culture. Go ahead, Liz. I'm sorry.
Well, I think that sign language should be actually considered a true language too, because that was the first language I taught my daughter, was sign language, and no one really talks about sign language. And so let's learn another language. Well, sign language is a language. You just use your hands.
I was learning
I think
I just didn't master it.
I think people use sign language sometimes and don't really understand, you know, what they doing. Because I remember about a week ago, no, it was about maybe like 3 weeks ago, there was a guy who came in and he had a shirt on, and the shirt was Sailor Moon. Now it blew me off because I haven't seen Sailor Moon. It's another anime. I haven't seen Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Sailor Moon for real since it played on Toonami on Cartoon Network, and we talking about a good 20 years. So
that's
I haven't seen it. So when I seen it, I was like, "Yo, I love your shirt." And he looked at me and he, you know, was saying that he was deaf. So I was like, "I love your shirt." You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not hard, you know. Sign language isn't hard, you know, to understand. You know, like I said, you got to submerge yourself within the culture. A lot of people get intimidated as the older they get because they think you're supposed to be young and learn all of this stuff because your mind is, you know, like a sponge and it soaks stuff up. I got a guy at my job who's a contractor, and he is a white guy. He's a gringo. He never spoke Spanish, but because he's a contractor and he has a whole company, 90% of his employees are Latino. They're Hispanic. They're either Mexican, Boricua, from Guatemala. He learned Spanish just based off of them. Now, when he comes into the store and he's talking to him, he's full blown Spanish. He's full blown speaks Spanish, and he hasn't always. Then this guy's probably like in his 50s, maybe 55 or something like that. But he picked it up because he submerged himself within the culture. He told me one day when he was first learning Spanish, and he went to I guess like his daughter's open house and everything, and he was in school, and he learned from other people, and he started saying the word pinche. Somebody had to pull him to the side
A
and be like,
little
"You
bit.
do know that's not an appropriate word to say that at a school." He didn't know. It's the same thing like when like me, I haven't always spoken Spanish, but when I was learning, I was around a bunch of Mexicans at the time. And sometimes the type of Spanish that I speak is more closer to Mexican than actually, Boricua. So when I'm talking to somebody and I'll say something like I'll say a word like Simon. If you didn't grow up if you didn't know anything about the Chicano experience or watch movies like Blood In, Blood Out and everything like that, and you ask me a question and I say Simon, I seen Boricuas look at me crazy like, the fuck is a Simon? And I'm like, oh, I just
By
agree
the
with
way, when you hear real quick, RapStarr, when you hear the music, that's when we're gonna cut to a commercial break. So I
Gotcha.
hope that everybody. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna cut to a commercial break, everybody. But don't forget what you were saying, RapStarr, because we gotta educate these people. We like to say educate just
Got you.
so we do like that. We fun like that. And And we're back. Thank you, everybody, so much for being patient as we took this little short commercial break. I hope you enjoyed the little intermission and everybody went to the bathroom. Grabbed your snacks because guess what? There's some more. RapStarr, a.k.a. Hurricane Cam, and he is back. So tune in because you don't want to miss the rest of what he's got to say. Let's get back to the Taino. Let's go.
Yeah. So what I was saying was, there's certain words that, because I basically learned Spanish from, Mexicans, that it doesn't translate into, Puerto Rican Spanish. We don't use the same language sometimes. And sometimes we have different words or different meaning for it. Like, okay, for example, here on the East Coast, we say bodegas. Bodegas, the little corner store that everybody, you could buy everything from in the corner, in the bodega. In Mexican Spanish, it means a tool shed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like different translations. So when I tell people, I say, when you speak a language, learn, what kind of language it is, because, there could be different dialects. Like we speak English, right, here in the United States, but in England, their English is, different from us. Our English is kind of like the bastardized version of, the Queen's English. Just like over in Australia, you got, they speak English, but it's a little different out there. That's just what it is. And even like within my music, I try to speak Spanglish a lot, to bridge that gap between, the Latinos and, the Americans and everything. That's why I have like songs like Ingando with King Peter Hustler. He got like, we have like, it fits so perfect where this is his song that I'm featured on. And shout out to King Peter Hustler, he's so West Coast. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know West Coast music, I don't really understand how people don't listen to Chicano rap. I think Chicano rap is more hip hop than the hip hop that's out today. You got Mr. Criminal, who's still low riding. He still got, he still bounce on the 6-4. They still got, the hydraulics, the spinning rims, and the khakis, and the jeans, and the bandanas, and everything. Here on regular hip hop, everybody's wearing skinny jeans, and everybody got dreads, and then everybody looked this.
You over there in where you at? You over there in where you at? Where you at? And you staying at where? What state?
I'm in the East Coast. I'm in Pittsburgh.
He's in Pittsburgh. Weren't you in California?
Nope.
Never.
The only California place that I was in was I went to college at California University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I told you were in California. Haha.
Yeah, but I wasn't on the West Coast California, but that's where I graduated, was California University of Pennsylvania. It's in a town called California, PA. The reason why it's called PA, this is why I tell people, I said, know your history. There was my school. Matter of fact, before I even get in it, I'm gonna tell just a little bit of a backstory. How I said you got to be educated of what you do. When I was in high school, I ended up having issues with the substitute teacher. I mean, this guy was a straight dick. Like he was an ass. So what happened was, every time he would see people in the hallways, he had this thing where he would call people guy, and he'd be like, "Hey guy, slow down there, guy. Hey guy, where's your hall pass?" I kind of felt some type of way because I have a friend who went to high school with me as well, and he looked like me. He kind of looked like my younger brother, and his name is Guy. And I remember everybody used to say that me and him looked so much alike. So it wasn't his fault, but because he was calling people Guy and everything, and he called me Guy, it kind of sparked something in me. So we was in the cafeteria, and I'm, we talking about what, 2008. 2009, people at the lunchroom tables, banging on the tables, making beats. I'm freestyling and everything. He comes into the lunchroom. I remember
that. That was fun.
You remember that?
Yeah, that was fun. I remember they used to do on the school bus, stomping their feet, and then we all make a beat, and then the boys would just freestyle. And then next thing you know, I was bobbing my head, and I was freestyling to myself because I didn't think I was the girl that everybody loved to hate. So I just sat by myself. Don't feel bad for me.
I was the man that people love to hate. even to this day. But you know, I'm like,
But
hey, it
they
is
heard
what it
me
is.
though. They
Huh?
heard me rap. They heard your girl flow. They definitely heard me flow. And they're like, yo, are you rapping? I'm like, I'm just keeping to myself. They were like, you think you got bars? And I'm like, I don't think you know what I'm thinking right now, but I'm just like, what do you want? They're
Oh
like, we
yeah.
want to hear you rap something. So I'm like, okay. And so they got all excited, all immature and stupid. And so I went ahead and I started flowing something. They're like, holy crap. And they just were flipping out over every word I was saying because they didn't expect a girl to come in and start flowing and just rapping like, and then they started asking me all these questions like who my inspiration was and all that stuff. So it was a big deal, and I didn't understand why it was a big deal. I'm like, it's just, it's just
I mean,
rapping.
it's. I mean, when guys rap is different because you know if a guy rap, a guy can rap, but it's kind of different when you're a female. And when you a female, guys will look at you like
But not all guys can rap.
not all guys can rap. No, not all guys can rap, but like they look at it to where they say hip hop is a male dominant sport. It's not like that because we got so many
Yeah,
different female MCs in the game. Like I said, my influence is
now we
Little
do.
Kim. I'm
Yeah, now we do.
other than Nas saying Roxanne Shante was one of his influences. What other male MC have you ever heard that say, "Yeah, I was influenced by a woman"?
Yeah, but
I
hip
say
hop
this
was
every
created by a
interview.
woman. Hip
What you
hop was
say?
created by a woman. Hip
Yeah,
hop was
it
created by
was.
a woman. They can look it up. They can look it up. It was created by a woman, but it's one of those things where it's like it was always. I guess it was like just it was sort of underground. It wasn't something that everybody spoke on because women couldn't
It's
really do a lot of things back in the day. Women, it took a lot of the credit that a lot of women did. It went to the men because the women weren't allowed to do anything. They weren't allowed to write. They weren't allowed to be a writer. So anytime they wrote a book, they had to like hyphen their name. Liz knows what I'm talking about because she's a writer too, and she
right.
had to hyphen it. And Liz, you haven't been able to ask any questions, but as a writer, what kind of questions as a writer do you have for RapStarr over here?
Well, I'd like to know, um, can you look at a scenario that goes on around you and make a rap about that? Or do you have to have something personal to rap about?
Um, nah. See, it's crazy when I write about something, I can do either way. It just works out, for me because I'm a writer.
Right.
Before being a lyricist, I like to write anyway. When I was in college about 10 years ago, when I would do exams, and they would have two things about exams. They would say, okay, you can either take the multiple choice question or you can do the essay. I always wrote on the essay because I like to explain myself better than just saying, okay, answer this question. I think B is the perfect answer, or I think C is the perfect answer for that. I like to express myself. So usually what I'll do is it depends on the song or where I'm going at is the direction that I'm going. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So like with Power to My People, I automatically wanted to write Power to My People because that was a feeling that I was expressing to myself. I want people to listen to the song and I want people to get something out of it. Now I'll go and I'll have times where I'll create scenarios.
Hmm.
Like one of my old joints, I had a song that was a remix off of Little Kim's One Dot, and I called it The Conversation. And what happened was the scenario was there was a young MC like me who was frustrated in the game. He was frustrated at how hip hop was going. He was frustrated about how the music industry was going, how the message was being, not the same. And he's actually sitting down and he has a picture of Black Jesus and he's talking to Black Jesus and he's basically rapping but he's talking to Black Jesus and he's like, I'm tired of hip hop. I just don't know what to do anymore. I want to become a hip hop artist because the game has changed so much. And within that scenario, on the side of the picture of Black Jesus is a picture of Tupac and Biggie. And as the conversation's going back and forth because within the song I actually have it to where Jesus is actually answering back. The spirit of Tupac Shakur comes out, and I'm interpreting all of these voices, remind you, by myself. So I'm interpreting Pac, and then on the same note, I'm also interpreting the spirit of Biggie Smalls. So I'll say certain things like, I'm chilling on the west side of the father. That's Pac right
Oh my
there.
God, your eyes got big.
Yeah, chilling on the west side of the father, or what I'm, interpreting big. I'll say something like, hold the phone. I want to let it to be known. It's Big Papa coming through to talk to you. Oh shit, I can't believe it's B.I.G., the one and only from the NYBK NYC. Frank White, the East Coast Dawn. Here to come and check all you hip hop pawns, hip hopping. Like, this is what I'm saying. So I'll have stories and I'll have scenarios that come around, and some of them might be made up, some of them might be personal. I have a song that I wrote. It was called Unity, Black Awareness, which is talking about, police brutality. And I did a remix of Queen Latifah's Unity. And the whole first verse was talking about my first experience having, a negative connection with the police, where my high school at that time had a gang problem. And it was literally people from another neighborhood coming up to the high school trying to find these people. Now, what I did was every day I would go to my grandmother's house that was like directly in the hood. It wasn't the hood that they was talking about, but it was in the city. So after that, I would go run up the hill with my weight vest on and catch a regular bus rather than a school bus. And I would go up there, I would catch the bus all the way down, try to get back before before 2:30, because 2:00 Passions was on. So I had to catch my Passions. That's
Oh
so far.
my God, did you just say Passions? I said watch
Passions.
that show. I used to watch that show, and I gotta piggyback off of what you just said earlier about emotions. That's the emotion, because it's been known that a lot of times Aquarius people have a hard time expressing emotion. What do you think about that?
That's a negative connotation I like to correct, because everybody, like people around me, they would say, Cam, you kind of like aloof, or you kind of like you don't show your emotions like that. It's not the fact that we have a hard time showing our emotions. We do it in a different way. You know what I'm saying? There's people who feel like we would handle a situation better if we knew the ins and outs of the situation, rather than getting emotional about it. We like to see, okay, what can I do to better my situation? You know what I'm saying? This is what we do. So rather than having like a breakdown or being emotional about it, we like to sit down and we like to think, well, I'm in a messed up situation. Let me figure out a way for me to remedy the problem. It's not the fact that we are heartless, or the fact that we don't care, or we just are feelingless. It's the fact that we more focus on our mind. We're more mental than here. We listen to hear rather than hear. Because sometimes, you can go by your heart, but sometimes your heart, not all the time, but sometimes your heart can get in the way of common sense. Just like sometimes thinking up here too much can get in the way of how you can actually feel. We have a balance, but we tend to use our brain more than our hearts a lot of the time. And sometimes a lot of the people. Go ahead.
No, I'll finish what you were saying, because I have a question for you.
Okay. But that's just basically how it is, because I'm always getting told that I'm heartless, or I don't really care that much, or I'm a little harsh. And it's not the fact, it's the fact that we care so much is the reason why it might feel like we're kind of hard, because we're kind of passionate about certain things. Like, for example, if somebody tells me, well, what do you think about this new age of hip hop and where it's going and this, that, and the third? And me personally, I say I think the whole thing is going to pot. I think it's going to shit. I don't really think hip hop has advanced to the point where I think it has reached a point, but I think because of social media and other stuff that don't have nothing to do with hip hop, I think is the reason why, rappers could come out with a song like today and be going like
Dinero,
within the next
dinero. It's
month.
about it's about money. It's all
Yeah,
about
it's
money.
more money. It's
You
more
don't need talent.
I say this.
Yeah, you don't need
There's too
talent.
many
You just
Jerry
need money.
Hellas and not enough Ice Cubes. If you understand what I was saying.
I got you. It's all about the money. You don't need talent anymore if you want to be a superstar. Now you just need money.
Right.
And it's about who you know, not what you know. We already knew that part, but damn, you gotta have some talent too. But you got
Right.
these people.
And that's why you have like a
Yeah.
lot of one hit wonders, because you have artists who will come out with it, because a lot of artists, they look at rap or they look at hip hop or they look at the music business as a money scheme. I'm just gonna make this song real quick and I'm gonna get this money and I'm gonna bounce. That's why you don't see a lot of longevity with artists, because once they drop that record and they get whatever they can get from it, you'll never hear from them again, because they be like, I got what I came to get. I'm gonna go do some other stuff. You know, that's
Or
why you
no
don't
hit
have
wonders.
a lot of longevity. That's why you have record labels. Record labels used to have artist development. Artist development had pros and it had cons, you know, but a lot of the pros of artist development was it grooming artists to be more than just a figure on the album cover. It prepped you for interviews. It prepped you
Yeah.
for other businesses to come. So, Liz, what was you going to ask me?
Well, I was going to ask you, what would you say to somebody who said, you know what, I want to do what RapStarr is doing. I want to become a rapper. And the second part would be, how would I prevent myself from being used by friends? Because once you start making money, people change around you. So how would you answer someone who would want to know how to do what you do?
Okay. Well, the first one is, to be a rapper, I would say you have to study hip hop. Everybody, you know, when you go to a job interview, if anybody have ever, you know, actually, you know, have a job, when you go and you actually get that job, the first thing they do is they give you like hours for free for orientation. So you go after you get that job and you go in and you be like, okay, I got to do training. Part of that training is knowing the history of the company that you're working for, so you can understand a little bit better what they do. You know, even at McDonald's and Wendy's, you know, they'll tell you, hey, this is how it all began. It all began with this guy. You know, all he had was a spatula and a drink. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to know the history of the occupation or something that you want to do with anything. So if somebody wants to be a rapper, I say go back and learn. Go back to listening to R&B. Go back listening to country. Go back listening. I mean, the real country. We ain't talking about the Tim McGraws and everything. And we talking about old stuff. You know, go back and listen to the rock. You know, old school rock. You know, go back and listen to jazz. Go back and listen to what's that genre? Dance hall. Listen to dance hall, because hip hop is made of all of these different types of genres. Dance hall comes from Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? So learn the history, watch documentaries, learn the 5 elements of hip hop. If anybody don't know the 5 elements of hip hop, that's MCing, that's graffiti, that's DJing. This is b-boying. Knowledge. Knowledge is one of those damn, pillars of hip hop. KRS-One will tell you that. You know, so you have to dig deep. And then when you finally know the history of hip hop and you want to become an MC, figure out what kind of MC you want to be. You got to find your niche. You can be influenced by people, but you got to have the world know why people want to listen to you. And that's the crazy thing about the industry today, because it's such a cookie cutter industry now. You know, being, that somebody's influence, like right now, it's crazy how people are saying I kind of got that DMX vibe to me, because for the longest it was G. For the longest it was 50 Cent. I mean, since middle school, everybody used to call me Little Lloyd Banks because they said I looked like Lloyd Banks. You know what I'm saying? I work out and wear the G-Unit beaters. I got muscle, so people would automatically say 50. 50 is one of my favorite artists. Eminem is my number 1 influence, and 50 is number 2. So for the longest, for like damn near 15 years, people been comparing my style to 50 and to G-Unit. But I created my own style. 50 don't rap in Spanish. He might drop a little something here and there, depending on if he's doing a song with Winston and Yandel, or with the Lloyd Banks and Young Buck feature with what's his name, Daddy Yankee. You know, so it's like I'm teaching history. 50's not really teaching history all like that. Me, I'm bilingual. I rap in Spanglish. You know, a lot of people say sometimes when I have like when I'm on my West Coast feel, I got like a West Coast Chicano feel. You know, so it's like I can blend into anything, but also know who I am, and you got to know who you are. You know, that's what the whole thing is. When in hip hop, what'd you say?
Do you feel like artists have this huge misconception that in order to be a rapper, you have to have anger issues. You got to have a temper. Can't you also be a rapper with cool, calm, collective attitude and know when to pick your battles? And when to put the suit and tie on? Because you got the business. It's a business as much as it is an art. There's the business side to it. So I always tell some people, you got to know when to put your suit and tie on versus just snapping and popping off it.
What it is it's a stereotype. Like when you are a rapper, people automatically think that, like for example, I was 15. I remember I was there was a party going on. It was an adult party, but it was going on. It was my dad, my stepmom, and some of their friends. And I just happened to come down to get something to drink or something like that. And everybody knew at the time I was a rapper. I was rapping, like I said, I was about like 15. So everybody, yo, Cam, can you come over? We want to hear you rap. We want to hear you freestyle. I want to hear you rap. So I go rapping. This one guy, he almost got his ass kicked by my father for saying this, but he was like, you know what? You want to be a rapper? You need to sell drugs. Every rapper sells drugs now. So for you to make it, to be a rapper, you got to sell drugs. Now, why would you tell a 15-year-old boy this information that the only reason he can be a rapper or be successful as a rapper is to sell drugs? That's kind of counterproductive, isn't it?
I got an answer to that. I got an answer to that though.
Yeah, so it's like people feel like when you're a rapper, you gotta be a certain way. Like that's just not what it is. There's a whole stereotype that if you're a rapper, you have to be gangster. That's the whole thing that happened with the whole 6ix9ine situation. You got 6ix9ine who could have been a good artist that people would feel, but because he surrounded himself with people that he first of all really didn't know.
Representing Puerto Rico. He could be representing Puerto Rico in a beautiful light, instead he has to mess it up.
That's what I'm saying. He could have been repping Puerto Rico. He could have been repping Mexico because he's Chicano too. But because he wasn't thinking about the big picture, like hip hop is a culture. It's for the people. It's for the black and brown people. I mean, other people are participating in hip hop, but hip hop was created by the black and brown people. You could have uplifted your people within your song, but because you wanted to be bigger than what you already was, you got into some shit that you couldn't even handle, and you started riding around in a cop car pointing at niggas. You was snitching. Now, how can we determine that? It's the same thing with Rick Ross. I have this whole thing about Rick Ross. I know y'all down in Florida, but the whole thing about Rick Ross is I feel like he did the same thing. He chose.
Well, I'm from New Jersey, so and New York.
Yeah, so. That's right. I know you're from New Jersey. I'm just saying.
And New York. Got my New York. Got to shout out to New York, everybody. What's
shout
up?
Shout out to the East Coast. New York. What up? But it's like I say the same thing with the whole Rick Ross situation. I say, look, nobody's saying that it was wrong for him to be a correctional officer. People have jobs all the time. You know what I'm saying? People have jobs before they got them. The whole thing about it is you chose to sit there and take not only the name, but the whole identity of a man who was serving time for what you was rapping about. He changed his life. He wrote children's books. He was trying to reinvent himself. But because you took his image and his name and everything that he was about before he got to jail, you created this image like you was the biggest drug dealer in Miami, but you was a correctional officer. That's why I can't get down with anything with Rick Ross has, say on the rap. I'm like, you used to be a cop. You was Officer Ricky. We seen you with your whole at the whole joint, shaking your hands, receiving your, thing. Now people say, oh man, well, he couldn't snitch on himself for doing this and doing that. I said, look, hip hop is one of the only genres where it's okay for you to be a crooked ass cop. If you was a cop and you was working for the other side, you would get a lot more attention and clout because hip hop, so they say, hip hop would invite that. You would have said, you was a CO, Ricky? And you said, yeah, how do you think I made my connect? Or you could have did the positive route and say, yeah, I was a CO, so I'm going to write songs about the pain and suffering that I had to see with the young black and brown people I see that's locked up. I could see their families and see what they have to go through. I could see, how the government is basically, just locking up these young boys. It's the school to prison pipeline. He could have been doing that, but no. He decided he wanted to go and do that. And only because he sounded good on a record, people thought it was okay. If he was in the 90s and it came out that he was a cop, he wouldn't have no career. But it's because people today don't care about street cred. They don't care about if you're real or not, as long as you just sound nice on the beat. You know what I'm saying? As far as being, real, you got to be real about, to your people and what you stand for. And a lot of people don't. I'm sorry, Liz, was there a second question that I want to get to that second question. What was the second question?
She's got a question from the audience, actually. Go ahead,
Yes.
Liz.
So the audience question is, what was the first rap song you ever wrote and what was the meaning behind it?
Oh man, the first rap song I wrote, it was called RapStarr. It was about me, but I recorded, it was on my grandmother's. I had, everybody remember Radio Shack. I don't know if there's any more Radio Shacks where y'all live, but Radio Shack was a big thing. It's obsolete now. We don't find no Radio Shacks, but my grandmother bought a cassette tape player, and it was a recorder. It was one of those recorders had your two fingers, you hit play and record at the same time to record something. She had a boom box, and I had, what I used to do is I used to go to this record store, and the record store had CDs and instrumentals. I would buy $5 instrumentals. I would buy like instrumentals to like 50, G Unit, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Timberland. I had a cassette tape of the Biggie Smalls single. I think it was the Big Papa. And it was the remix that I made a song to. And it was the instrumental. So I put this cassette tape in the boom box, and I put, got an empty cassette tape for the recorder, and I press play with that, and I hit record on that one. And it was called RapStarr. I want to see if I can remember. It was like, RapStarr. Do you really want to be a rap star? Do you really want to know who you are? Up to the top. I'm climbing high. I want to be one of the greatest MCs up in the sky. RapStarr. Do you really want to be a rap star? Do you really want to know who you are? That's all I remember from that. I mean, we talking about we talking about 99, 2000, maybe 2001. That was like one of the first songs that I actually recorded. And then as time went on, I perfected my craft, and I started doing other songs like for extra credit, like in school. I remember I was in 7th grade. I was a fool. I was acting up, and I had an algebra class, and I was failing. And one of the teachers told me, he said, I can give you extra credit, but I would rather you rap a rap about math. And I wrote a rap about math off of the Ja Rule clapback song. And I was like, we gonna rap math, we gonna rap math, we gonna rap math, we gonna rap, let's get this A, nigga. So it was crazy, so I would perfect my craft on, just doing little odd stuff. When I was in college, I took this emergency class. We was learning how to do CPR on babies and people, and this whole thing. And I made a rap to Fabulous's Breathe song about respiration and how to bring somebody back to life. This is what I do. So that's how I began writing songs. Actually, for anybody don't know, how I actually started writing songs was strictly off of the G Unit Radio mixtape series. I don't know if anybody remembers the G Unit Radio's 50.
I do.
You remember?
Of course I do. I had
Okay.
to. I didn't
Okay.
care for it. You know where I am. I didn't care for G Unit. I was one of those people that the heck out of G Unit. But there was I like, and it's funny because I got somebody was cracking a joke on me like, how do you have a 50 Cent CD next to a Ja Rule? I'm like, because it's music. At the end of the day, I'm not caught up in
you know what? It's funny because I'm like that now. Now my man True Live, who introduced me to DMX, he's team Ja Rule. I mean, he even sounds like Ja Rule when he speaks. And that's his natural voice. He sounds like Ja Rule when he speaks. He's connected with Murder Inc. When me and him first met, like I was since 2001, I was a G Unit, like a G Unit soldier. You couldn't tell me nothing about it. Like you was a Ja Rule fan, you was getting it. Point blank, you was getting it.
I got a question for you.
Oh, go ahead.
Audience question. Do you prefer freestyling on the spot or writing down and memorizing your lyrics for tracks, or a bit of both?
I guess it depends on the situation, because like anybody can freestyle and everything like that. I mean, if you're really good at freestyling, then you can be good at freestyling. If you're really good at writing, I just say do what you are like comfortable with. Like me, I can freestyle, but I'm better as a writer because I'm a songwriter. I can freestyle. I battled people, for a long time. I battled people on the streets and everything, won freestyle battles and everything. So, that's easy. But I prefer written work, because when you have, and what people don't know is freestyling is actually not just from the top of your head. You can freestyle from spitting a written work that you wrote a long time ago. People do it all the time. When I would watch, like I said, with the G Unit, I would listen to Hot 97 and I would watch G Unit with Funk Flex and Angie Martinez, and they would be spitting freestyles and everything. A lot of their freestyles they wrote, a lot of their freestyles that they spit was verses that they either did on a mixtape or did on an upcoming song that you wasn't even aware of. Or you have a freestyle on the Basement, BET Basement with Trigger, Big Tigger. You have Big Tigger, and you have like, Cameron, the Dipset, Lil Wayne, Lil Kim was on there, Method Man, Wu-Tang was on there, G Unit, they freestyling from the top of their head. So it's basically whatever you're comfortable with. If you're comfortable, freestyling at the top of your dome, it is what it is. If you better with the pen, hey, do you. It's all hip hop. It's all relative.
And there's probably some people who want to know if you battle. Have you ever battled, or do you battle?
Yeah, I've battled. I battled not recently, but I've battled, like, I think the last battle I was actually in was in college. Excuse me. And it was crazy because me and this person, every time that I actually battled somebody, it actually turned into like an actual beef. So rather than me actually battling somebody, I would actually try to like not go there because I know the type of person I am. But the last battle that I was,
I feel you, my guy. I feel you 100%.
Yeah, I'm I like it's a battle, so I'll get. I mean, come on, we talking about a person who I got my battle instincts from the whole 50 Cent and Ja Rule, beef. To say the most disrespectful things in a witty way. So, when I go and I hear, 50 saying, I smell pussy, that you heard. I smell pussy, that you Ja. Or you got Ja Rule going and saying, Your mother's a crackhead, and Kim is a known slut. So what Haley gonna be when she grows up? Stuff like that. So these is what I was
And it's
growing up.
terrible
I
because
was growing
people
up
think
on
that
these
we
things.
look at
So
children
when I
now. It's like,
battle,
leave
sometimes I might,
them alone. Leave
lyrically
them
take it
alone.
a little bit too far. So I don't really like to battle. But when I did battle, it was always intense. The last battle that I was actually in was in college. I had this guy who he was from Philly, and we both went to college. And me and him, we was cool, but we had different point of views of hip hop, being that he wasn't really from the hood, he was from the suburbs.
I'm gonna
So
let you finish the
he
story
thought
real quick,
that hip
Rapstar.
hop
Once you
wasn't,
hear the song, that
what'd you
means
say?
that I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you finish your story, but once you hear the music, that's when our show is ending because we kind of went a little over, but that's okay because I didn't want to cut
I
nobody off.
seen that. We like a $1.25 in.
But it's okay because you worked it. All right, we got to make
Word,
sure
I
that we get the
appreciate that.
scoop.
But
And
yeah, I
besides, I
was
want
battling.
everybody to know that this is not the last time that we're gonna have you on the show. I mean, this is the first interview with RapStarr. Everybody, we got to keep on top of what he's doing. We got to find out what his next track gonna be and when his next music video gonna drop. But so before you finish your story, let them know where they can find your material content, especially visuals are very important. Music videos, visuals, any type of video visuals are very important. So let them know where they can find it.
Oh yeah. No doubt. You could find me on TikTok. It's Rap to the Star. On TikTok it's ITSRAP number 2 THESTARR. It's Rap to the Star. You'll find me. I got visual up. Like what I do is, LeeLee, I know you into fashion, and I'm into fashion too. And that's why Little Kim is one of my biggest influences. Aside from her lyrically, her lyrical ability, she's heavy into fashion. And what I do is I collect hip hop clothing. And what I mean by hip hop clothing, like all my favorite artists or other artists, legendary artists that I grew up listening to, I'll have custom made shirts. I buy these. I don't make these, but I buy them. Like, for example, I have a jersey. I have the same jersey that Snoop Dogg wore on the Gin and Juice album that has the Pittsburgh. It's the black and white penguin jersey. Got Pittsburgh down on the bottom. On the back, it says Gin and Juice. I got an 8-ball sweater that got salt and pepper on it. I got a sweater that got Aaliyah on it. I got another sweater that got Biggie Smalls on it. I got about 5 to 6 damn shirts that got all of Little Kim's albums on it. 3D stuff. I got a sweater that got the G Unit the first 50 Cent mixtape off 50 Cent is the Future. So I collect all of these. So you can find them on there. I got Tiger fur coats. You seen that? The bangle and the white tiger got the Kangol fitted on. That's the LL Cool J in me. Of course, with the rope chain too. So you can find me on there. I'll release exclusive promotions on there, exclusive videos, sneak peeks, different interviews that I'll have that have sneak peeks on. You can find me on YouTube, RapStarr RapStarr a.k.a. Hurricane Cam 412. You can find me on Twitter, RapStarr RapStarr 412. You can find me on Facebook, RapStarr a.k.a. Hurricane Cam. What else? You can stream my music. I'm everywhere, baby. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Pandora. I'm on iTunes, iHeart, Alexa, Shazam.
Go ahead, Liz. Ask.
We got
Let them know.
We got a question for you. Do you
Okay.
guys? How do you say that?
Well, let him know the compliment. He said something about he liked his collection or something like that.
Oh yeah. So Cali Craze Beats says sounds like a nice collection, and then he also says, "Do you got some Naruto shirts?"
The RapStarr t-shirts?
Naruto.
Yeah.
What kind of t-shirts did you say?
Naruto shirts.
Naruto?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I'm not really too hip on
or is it
Naruto or anything like that. I do have some like I'm all about culture, so I have like a lot of culture stuff. So I have like
I think
I have
that's Naruto. I think that's
No,
Naruto.
Naruto.
Oh, Naruto. Oh, Naruto.
Naruto, yeah, yeah.
Cool, cool.
I had to look at it. I'm
No,
so
I
sorry.
don't.
I had to look at it because I knew it was Japanese. I was like, wait a minute. I think so. I think
Okay,
it's
not Naruto. I don't have any Naruto jerseys. I'm not really a big fan of Naruto. I used to when I was a kid, but I'm more of a Dragon Ball franchise fan. Inuyasha. Earlier today I was watching Rurouni Kenshin, um, Samurai Champloo, Afro Samurai. Afro Samurai is like one of my favorites because it actually blends hip hop with anime. Same with Samurai Champloo. Samurai Champloo blends in hip hop with anime. Um,
You haven't seen Fatal Fury?
huh?
You haven't seen Fatal Fury?
I think.
It's an anime after the video game King of Fighters.
Oh yeah. I have.
Yeah,
And
it's
another guest question from Callie Crazed again. What about Narat the ninja from the Hidden Leaf?
Say that one more time.
Narat the ninja from the Hidden Leaf.
I haven't seen that. See, I don't really watch. I try to watch all the anime that I can get, but the thing about me is I'm kind of stuck in my own. Uh, how can I say this? I'm stuck in like what's familiar to me. Not saying that I won't be open to any other new anime, but there's a lot of shows that I haven't watched in a while that I have to rewatch. Like Rurouni Kenshin was something I had to rewatch all the time to actually understand what was going on. Same with Yu Yu Hakusho. I love Yu Yu Hakusho as well. I had to rewatch that and see everything that was going on with Bleach. I used to watch Peach Girl. I like Peach Girl for real, for real.
Cutie Honey.
Yeah. You remember Peach Girl?
Yes.
Peach Girl. Black Cat. Black Cat was another anime that I like so much. Icky Hussin. I like a lot of fighting anime. That's my whole thing is the whole supernatural
Well,
fighting,
then
the
if
anime, the
you really
martial
have seen
arts of
Fatal
it.
Fury, then you must have seen the first one, the second one, and the third one. There's only 3 films like it, and if you haven't heard of it, there's this one that it's got fighting in it. But I listen, be patient with it. It's a little bit twisted. It's actually the same artist who worked on Fatal Fury and King of Fighters did this video game, and it's ooh, my older sibling kicked my butt if I forget this one. But it's the same artist, and I believe it was called Go Kaiser.
Go Kaiser.
Not Go Danner. I like Go Danner too. Go Danner is hot. If you've never heard of Go Danner, actually check it out. You'd like it. And don't be, you might get a little distracted because there's a lot of bouncing balloons in there. That's the nicest way I can put it. They oversized them.
It's all cartoon to me. That's just something
don't
that
ever call an anime a cartoon. That is sacrilegious.
I didn't mean it like that, but I just find it like it's weird when I see it on all the time on the Dragon Ball Z, like those things where they over sexualize the cartoons, the anime, because I understand anime is sexualized a lot, but when I see there'd be like a picture of like Bulma or Chi Chi and these guys are having full blown orgasms over a drawing, I'm like, I don't understand how can you get attracted to a character you can't even touch them for real, unless you get somebody who can dress up like them. And I understand.
I think I think that anime is not for everybody mentally. I think there's a lot of people who actually suffer mental disorders that obviously should not be watching anime because there's something about anime, the maturity that they just are not comprehending, and they cannot differentiate fantasy and artwork from reality. They're mixing the two too many times together. And even though anime, we've seen some Japanese anime that have some things on like history or some things from the Bible, it does not mean it's based off of it. It is just deriving a few little elements from those those elements,
Right.
some subject from those elements. That's all it is. And that's part of art. It's just art. It is not to be confused. I mean, a lot of people even call it a sin to like anime. It's art, but the problem is there's not enough. There's so many people who have mental disorders, and I'm gonna call it that because that's what it is. Because you're not right in the head if you're not really connecting with a physical person, but you over connecting with somebody who's ink and a pen. Okay, I'm like, dude, it's ink, it's paper, it's pen, it's a digital character, and I understand that people really like them, but it's like, and that's great. Artists want people to like their artwork, but damn, calm down.
Right.
I mean, I
I
even
mean
got
that yeah,
people.
that's
Yeah,
just that's just what
calm
it is. Like
down.
I understand like anime, like I look at it because I be like, if you look at life, just life in general, you know, on a normal daily basis, like let's say if you was like secretly video camera somebody from like the time they get up to the time that they went to bed, you would find some kind of perversion within that day that something's going on. You know, it might not be them, or something might happen. You walk down the street and you might find like two dogs mating or something like that, or I mean, it's just something that happens, But people, they end up taking their fantasies, a lot further. Like you write about the mental aspect of it, because I remember I said something, I commented on a Facebook comment, and I'm like, they said, what was your first cartoon crush? And there's people naming their crushes and cartoons, and I said, these are cartoon people. How can you have crush on a cartoon? And some girl was like, well, some of us has been abused by our parents, and so we find solace in these cartoons. So
Ah,
there is
boo,
a lot
that's
of
that's a
mental
sucky. That's a sucky.
instability and heartbreak
No.
that goes with people who um
Sometimes, because
sometimes, not all the
yeah,
time, but
sometimes because you
within
can
each
crush on a
individual,
character.
Well,
but
let me say this. I like Betty Boop. Okay, I'm 3'7", and I thought Betty Boop was a little person because she had a big head. So every time Betty Boop came on the cartoon version, I was so excited because I thought there was another person like me, not figuring, hey, it's just a cartoon. I was just excited to see Betty Boop. To this day, I love Betty Boop.
Right, and you can crush on an anime or a cartoon as long as you're not taking it over the top,
I
like to
know,
where
yeah.
I
you
just
gotta
worry
buy
about
a
the
full
Hitachi. I
size
just worry about the
Oma.
Hitachi, the hentai, is that what it's called? The hentai. That's the only thing I'd be worried about, because I have
Why?
a friend, he kind of ruined Teen Titans years ago. He showed me some
Oh,
crazy stuff, and
yeah. We want
ever since he showed me that, I haven't been right since. So, uh,
I'm sorry. Hentai is
yeah.
like supposed
So
to be
ever since then, I'd be
private.
like, nah, this is not my idea of. It's not something I would get aroused looking at. It's a drawing, it's a cartoon, it's an anime. You know.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, when you have people who might, want to cosplay, the whole, getting up and everything, that's a little different, because that's an actual human, dressing up
Oh
as your
yeah,
character.
dressing up. That's
You know,
fine. That's like plain dress up. That's
yeah,
nothing wrong
it's
with
like playing dress up. It's no different than somebody playing
that. We
like
have
the
another
naughty
question.
nurse, or the fireman, or the cable guy, or something. But that's as far as I ain't with the whole cartoon.
Oh, Rapstar, I got a guest question for you.
What's that?
Callie Craze wants to know: have you ever seen spirits, angels, or demons, or things moving by themselves?
No, actually, no. Things moving by themselves, it's usually caused by something else on my end. I can't really say for anybody else. Like when I was upstairs in my bedroom, I heard a very loud bang, and I ended up coming downstairs, and it was my refrigerator. There was like a bottle full of ice that rolled out onto the floor. Now, my refrigerator, the suction kind of sucks on it, so I understand it's kind of weak and everything, but anything moving on its own, I'm not really inclined to. I'm not in that realm. Like I feel like if somebody is in that realm, then they would be more acceptable to like be in that. But if you're not, it's like this one person they kind of tried to curse me by doing voodoo, and I told him I said I don't really think it would work because if I don't believe in voodoo, it's not going to work.
That's right.
That's how it is. I said for
How
you to have that whole experience, you would have to be in that for so long. It's like the episode of Charm when I guess they was like in an enchanted forest or something like that by these kids, and there was like these little kids, and the two sisters, I guess, got turned mentally into children. Where Piper, she was like, "What the hell's wrong with both?" And all of them, they're like, "No, they're acting like kids," but because she wasn't in that mental mind state, she couldn't understand what was going on. She literally had to put herself in a child's mind for her to do that. So being that I'm not in that mind frame where I'm seeing things that I'm not supposed to see, or see things that are moving around by themselves, if something happens, like if this candle come and start floating right in front of me, all I would do is just grab it and put it right back on the handle and keep it moving.
That's right. All right, everybody, you're gonna have to stay tuned for another episode in the future with RapStarr, a.k.a. Hurricane Cam, and I can't wait for you to hear some more of his material. You just got done listening to Power to My People. Please go check that out. It's not a joke. It's a powerful message, a positive message, and we need more of that today. So spread the word. And we got a beat, DJ, Cali Beats also does beats. So reach out, collaborate, and a lot of spiritual people here too. We'll have to talk about that tomorrow. If you tune in to Let's Talk Empath, y'all. Love you. RapStarr, thank you for joining
Nice
us.
to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you. I appreciate y'all for having me on here. It's been fun, man. I've been waiting for this interview all week, man. It's a pleasure. It's an honor.
Good.
Great job, Lizzie. All right, everybody. You know what time it is. Time to subscribe if you have not. Time to share if you have not. Okay? We'll see you next time.